groping down a dark alleyway in the French Quarter of New Orleans, driven by terror, hounded by the curse of the Papaloi, a curse from which there is no escape.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Today we escape into two worlds, one of modern jazz, the other of primitive voodoo, and to a doomed man who brought them together, as William Irish imagined it in his eerie story, Papa Benjamin.
New Orleans Police Department, 4th Precinct, Sergeant Tolliver speaking. Yeah? Yeah? Well, pick him up on a drunk 723. Right. Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Are you in charge here?
Yeah. Hey, aren't you Eddie Block, the band leader?
That's right.
Hey, Joe, look who's here, Eddie Block.
Well, never thought we'd get a visit from a big celebrity like you, Mr. Block. And at 4 o'clock in the morning. I suppose, though, this is just the shank of the evening for a big-shot orchestra leader.
Oh, hell, what can we do for you, Mr. Block?
I've just killed a man.
You're kidding.
I tell you, I've just killed a man.
I guess you've been working too hard, Mr. Block. You're imagining things.
Here's the gun. Look at it.
Sit down, Block. Better have a drink of water. You'll feel better.
No. I'm all right.
Sarge?
Yeah?
This gun's been used all right. Smell.
Was it an accident, Mr. Block?
No.
Who'd you use it on? Who was it?
I don't know his name. They call him Papa Benjamin.
Sounds like
Yeah. A white man?
No. He was a Negro.
Well, now, in New Orleans...
Oh, no. There was nothing like that.
Well, what was he doing to you?
He was killing me.
killing you. But how?
Look at me. I used to weigh 200 pounds. I'm down to 102.
Yeah, but how? How was he killing you?
Would you believe in anything you can't see, can't hear, can't touch?
Well...
I've been to the biggest doctors in the world. If they don't believe me, how can I expect you to? They'll simply say I'm cracked and let it go at that. I don't want to spend the rest of my life in an asylum.
Look, Mr. Block, you say he was a Negro named Papa Bench.
Yes. An old man, 80, maybe 90. Skin and bones, he could hardly walk. And I shot him.
You sure? You sure you killed him?
Yes, of course.
Where?
I don't know exactly. In a little back alley in the Vieux Carré. Near Congo Square.
Supposing you take us there. Can you do that? Then maybe we'll find out this is just a bad dream.
This is the alley. To the right between the buildings.
All right, let's go. You pack, Sarge?
Catch cold without it.
Don't go back there, honey.
Quiet, you.
Oh, cops.
Nice neighborhood.
This is it. In that door and up the stairs.
Come on.
No. Don't make me go up there again, please.
You better come, Mr. Block. You're showing us.
Yeah, flash your light. Somebody here on the stairs.
He won't bother us. Dead drunk. Now step over him and let's go. This ain't the most pleasant neighborhood to come calling on.
This it?
Yes. In that door.
Come on.
Better call the commissioner. Mr. Block wasn't kidding. This man's dead.
But why? Why?
Because he was killing me, Commissioner.
Then it was self-defense.
He never came near me once. I was the one who went to him. I offered him $3,000, $10,000, any amount, and he refused. I offered him my gun and asked him to shoot me with it to get it over with quickly and not to drag it out any longer.
Then when he said no, you shot him.
Yeah. So you can lock me up now.
Mr. Block, do you think we want to hang a murder rap on you, one of the most popular celebrities in the United States? Use your head. I'm trying to find an out for you.
He was killing me.
An 80-year-old colored man who's so feeble he can't even go upstairs by himself, who has to have his food pulled up to him in a basket, is killing who? A stumblebum his own age? No. Mr. Eddie Block, the top band leader of America, who can name his own price anywhere, who has about everything a man can want. Tell me just one thing, Mr. Block. How was he killing you?
By thinking thought waves of death that reached me through the air.
Now, Mr. Block, you surely don't...
You want to hush the whole thing up, don't you?
No, Mr. Block, no. But I'm going to get the whole story. So you might as well start telling me from the beginning.
All right. It began one night about 2 years ago. We were playing at Maxim's on Charles Street. We were just another band, a small Dixieland outfit then. Eddie Block and his Chips. Judy Jarvis, my wife, did the vocals. But we weren't setting the world on fire. Business was so bad, I knew what to expect when I got a call from the manager one night after closing time.
Come in. Oh, hi, Eddie. I thought we'd better have a little talk.
It's that bad, huh?
We took in $4,500 this week.
I see. And you can cancel my contract anytime it falls under $5,000. I get it.
Eddie, they can get the same liquor and sandwiches anywhere, but they'll go where the band has something. Tonight there were more waiters in the place than there were customers. Judy didn't even get a hand.
It's not her fault,
I know
Graham.
it's not her fault. She's okay. But I'm asking you, what's wrong?
I don't know. I'm getting the latest arrangements sent to me from New York. We sweat our heads bald off rehearsing.
Well, this is New Orleans, practically the cradle of jazz. You got to give them something new.
Yeah, I know. When do I leave?
Well, finish the week out. See if you can do something about it by Monday. If not, I'll have to wire St. Louis to get Kruger's band. I'm sorry, Eddie, but...
It's all right. It's okay. You're not running a charity bazaar. But I didn't feel so cocky about it. It looked like we were on the skids. The band just didn't seem to have it. And I wasn't good enough to figure out why and pull them out of it. I was feeling pretty low when I went back to the deserted bandstand to pick up some music. The place was dark and empty, except for a couple of scrub women cleaning up. A dark nightclub can be an eerie place sometimes. I got that feeling just before I saw it. I saw it lying there on the floor between the stands. It was a severed chicken claw with a red ribbon tied around it. I almost laughed. How did that thing get there? Then I picked it up and tossed it out on the floor where the scrub women were cleaning up. I certainly wasn't expecting the reaction I got. They took one look. They turned and ran out. I just recovered from that surprise and was bending down to pick up some music that had slipped to the floor when I heard someone come in. I guess I was pretty well hidden from view. Anyway, he didn't see me. It was Johnny Stats, my drummer. He was acting funny, looking intently at the floor, searching for something. Suddenly, he spotted this chicken claw on the floor and grabbed it up with a terrific sigh of relief, stuffed it into his pocket, and walked out. What I did then, I did on a strange impulse, and it changed the whole course of my life. I followed Johnny Stats. I suppose I just meant to catch up with him and have a cup of coffee with him somewhere and ask him about the chicken claw. But as I followed him farther and farther down into the Vieux Carré, down to Congo Square, it was a growing curiosity that kept me on his trail. When he turned into that dark alleyway, I stopped and debated. I felt like an eavesdropper, and yet something drew me on. And I walked up that dark alley. I passed that one lighted window.
I told you before, don't go back there, honey.
But I went on, through a sort of tunnel into another alleyway. And then I stopped. Ahead of me, Johnny Stat stood before a dark, dismal-looking old wreck of a building. Suddenly, he whistled. A gigantic man appeared from out of the shadows. Johnny handed him the chicken claw, and he was motioned into the building. And then I heard sounds coming from the upstairs of that building. A throbbing drum, a wailing, an unearthly sound, and yet wonderful. An exotic, fascinating rhythm. This was music, something new, something sensational. Something that would set New Orleans on its ear and put Eddie Block in the big time. I had to get in there and hear it. I was mighty busy for the next 5 minutes. I ran back down the alley, overturning 5 or 6 garbage cans before I found what I needed. Then back to that lighted window in the alley and a 5-spot in exchange for a red ribbon. Then I was back at the dark building, walking up to that menacing shadow.
Blood up. Let me see your face.
Okay. Easy with that knife. My ribs are tender.
Your face never been here before.
My friend, Johnny Stat's up there. He'll tell you.
Mr. Johnny, your friend, he asked you to come here?
This chicken claw told me to come.
Papa Benjamin sent you that?
Certainly. You'll make me late. Papa Benjamin wouldn't like that.
All right, go along here. First thing you know, all New Orleans will be coming around here.
I groped up the stairs, half expecting to feel his knife in my back. But I got to the top safely. Cautiously, I opened the door and slipped in. The room was full of people. They were in such a state of frenzy I wasn't even noticed. I slipped into a corner and slid down by the wall, sitting on the floor. It was a sight I'll never forget. Wild, fantastic, hideous, revolting, fascinating. In the center of the room was an incredibly old man, naked to the waist, wearing a hideous mask and holding a live chicken. There was wild gestures, weird incantations, frantic dancing, and shouting and rolling of eyes, and there was blood. And always there was the chant. Nobody noticed me. After a moment, I took a piece of copy paper out of my pocket and began putting down the notes. It was wonderful, fantastic, and wonderful. In 10 minutes, I had it, and I'd seen enough. Enough for a lifetime of nightmares. I began to feel sick, and I wanted to get out. I started to stand up. Suddenly, the room went dead.
Stranger is here.
His bony arm stretched out straight from the shoulder, pointing at me like an arrow, and there was blood on it.
What you do here?
Papa Loy. I know this man. Let me find out.
No one moved. There was no sound in the room as Johnny Stats came over and squatted beside me.
You're in terrible trouble, Eddie. I don't know if I can get you out of it.
What is this, Stats, and what are you doing here?
There's no time to talk now. You've got to do something quicker. You'll be a dead man.
Why? I'm in the very heart of New Orleans. They wouldn't dare.
Listen, you've seen enough tonight. You know better. Eddie, there's only one way.
What?
Join. Become one of us.
Oh, no.
It's the only way, Eddie. I can't save you. And you'd better hurry up. Unless you do, you'll never get out of here alive. You know what this is, don't you? This is voodoo.
Okay, sure. I'll join up. Why not?
Oh, wait a minute, Eddie. There's a lot more to it than you think. Unless you're serious, it'd be better to get cut to pieces right now.
Don't worry, I'm serious.
All right. Papa Loy, his spirit wishes to join our spirits.
The old man burned some feathers while the others watched silently. Then he nodded.
Came out all right. He reads them. The spirits are willing.
There were other things, rituals, ceremonies, another sacrifice. Then, after the chanting started again, they brought me the sacrificial bowl. I didn't have to be told what was in it. I started to draw back.
Drink, Eddie, drink, or they'll kill you on the spot.
Late next morning, the band assembled at Maxim's for a rehearsal. When Johnny Stats got there, he found another drummer sitting in his place. Naturally, he came to me.
Hey, what's all this about, Eddie?
I don't want any voodoo lover in my band, that's all. Stats, here's a check for 2 weeks' salary.
So you're crossing him, are you? Brother, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes for all the gold in Fort Knox.
Hell, if you mean that bad dream last night, and I haven't told anybody, and I won't, I'd be laughed at. I'm only remembering what I can use of it. The jungle is just trees to me, the Congo a river, and nighttime just time for electric lights.
Yeah, but this new number you're going to rehearse this morning.
I said I'd remember what I can use.
Listen, Eddie, that chant is sacred. Secret.
It was secret.
Eddie, don't do it.
Look, here's a couple of C notes. Hand them these. That ought to pay my dues up from now to doomsday, and I don't want a receipt. And if they try putting poison in my orange juice, they'll end up in a chain gang.
It's not that easy, Eddie. You're one of us now.
Oh, get out.
Okay. Goodbye, dead man.
Graham, the manager of the club, changed his mind about canceling our contract when he heard us rehearse the chant. Instead, he spent 5 G's in publicity. And Saturday night was set for the big unveiling. Seemed like all New Orleans tried to jam into Maxim's. Came to hear the voodoo chant, the real thing. Just before we were ready to hit it, Judy came up to me.
Eddie, listen. Let's not do it.
What do you mean, baby, not do it? Well, this is it. This is our ticket to the big time. It'll be a sensation.
I know, but I got a funny feeling, Eddie. And look, I found this under your dressing room door just a little while ago. It sounds like a warning. Somebody doesn't want you to play that number.
Let me see. You can summon the spirits, but can you dismiss them again? Think well. Oh, forget it, baby. Stats is trying to scare me because I fired him.
Ladies and gentlemen,
All right, come on, let's go. They're waiting.
Maxims takes great pleasure in bringing you a historic moment in musical history. You're about to hear for the first time anywhere the voodoo chant, the age-old ceremonial rhythm no one but the initiated has ever heard before. This is the real thing, ladies and gentlemen, an accurate transcription. Not a note has been changed. So now, Eddie Block and his Chips present for the first time anywhere the voodoo chant.
It was a sensation. They went crazy for it. They screamed for more, but we were playing it cagey. Once a night, that'd pack 'em in. After it was over, I went back to our dressing room. Judy got there before me. She was reading a newspaper somebody had brought in.
Eddie, listen.
Oh, baby, you were wonderful. We wowed 'em. We're in the money now.
Yeah, Eddie, but...
Boy, am I tired. I feel more tired than I've ever felt in my life. Nervous strain, I guess, huh? Let down?
Eddie, look. Here in the paper.
Oh, who cares about the paper now?
Eddie. It's Johnny Stats.
Hmm?
He's dead. He drowned himself in Lake Pontchartrain this afternoon.
8. This afternoon? Well, then that note... It wasn't Johnny.
Oh, Eddie, look. You can't blame yourself.
Me? Oh, no, of course not, but... I think I know who to blame.
What do you mean?
Nothing.
Eddie, why don't you lie down and rest for a few minutes? You look worn out.
Yes, I am. I feel dead.
Here. Let me take off your coat.
Oh, be careful.
What's the matter?
I don't know. A funny thing. While I was waving the baton on the chant, I felt something, a sharp pain there in my back, like a pin or something stuck me.
I don't feel anything there now. Maybe it slipped down.
I don't know.
Couldn't have been much. There. Now you just lie down. You'll feel better in a few minutes. You've been working too hard, Eddie. You should relax now and maybe take a few days off. Hey, Eddie, look here. Where'd this come from?
What?
It's a little doll. It was lying on the dressing table. Why, Eddie, it looks just like you.
Let me see.
Now, that's funny. Look, there in the back. There's a little pin sticking in the back.
Yes. That's right where I felt the pain. That started it. Next day, I had a backache. Later, there was a numbness that spread to my shoulders, arms, and legs. I felt tired all the time, listless, dead. I began to lose weight. I couldn't get Johnny's stats out of my mind. He'd introduced me to them, vouched for me, and he'd committed suicide. He knew. He hadn't waited. I decided to get out of New Orleans. I went to New York, playing the chant, of course. I had to. It was my biggest asset now. But nothing changed. I was losing weight, from a husky 200 down to 160, and I couldn't sleep. Maybe if I put an ocean between. I took an offer in London, toured the continent, away a year. I was an international hit now, the biggest attraction in music. But I was down to 110, dying on my feet. The doctors couldn't figure it out. Reynolds in London told me.
You're as normal, Mr. Block, as anyone I ever examined. You're so well balanced that you haven't even got that extra little touch of imagination most actors and musicians have.
I guess that's true, Doctor. I'm just mediocre. And yet you might say my success is killing me. And so, after 2 years, I finally realized it was no use. I came back to New Orleans, back to the dark alleyway down near Congo Square. I could just barely drag myself along, but I had to see Papa Benjamin. I slowly climbed the stairs, up to that loathsome door, and went in. There he was, Papa Benjamin, staring at me from the bed as if he'd been expecting me. And then he started to laugh. Take that curse off me. Give me my life back. I'll do anything you say.
What has been done cannot be undone. You think the spirits of earth, air, fire, water know what forgiveness means?
Intercede for me, then. You brought it about. Here's money. I'll give you twice as much. All I earn, all I ever hope to earn.
You have fouled the Obaya. Death has been on you from that night. All over the world and in the air above, you have mocked the spirits with a chant that summons them.
And please, here's a gun. Kill me now and be done with it. I can't stand anymore. All you have to do is shoot. I'll write a note, sign it, say I did it myself.
Death will come, but different. Slow. Oh, slow.
No, I can't stand that. I won't. Maybe if I kill you, maybe then the spell will be broken.
No.
That's it. Kill you.
No.
And that's all, Commissioner. Then I came here, the police station. You know the rest. Well?
All right, Mr. Block.
You don't believe me, do you?
Yes, I believe you. Not about the curse, of course. That was your own mind. They planted the suggestion in your mind, and you did the rest. But it's plain that you killed in self-defense. crazy kind of self-defense, but I think we can manage it. We'll try.
The commissioner managed it, all right. How is almost a story in itself. How a detective with a moulage false face posed as Papa Benjamin and called the Voodoo clan together and into a trap. How they collected the evidence that proved my story. And how they sent most of that Voodoo bunch to jail. My name wasn't even connected with the case. So now I'm free. I'm living again. I've gained weight. The tiredness, the numbness is gone. I took a nice vacation, went to Bermuda, relaxed, and had fun. Now I'm back in New Orleans at Maxim's, and the whole thing is forgotten. We're opening tonight, and the place is packed. Everybody's come to hear the chant. Eddie Block and the chant. We're on our way now, and nothing can stop us.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome back on his triumphal return Eddie Block and his chips, playing for you the one and only Voodoo Chant.
Look at them, Judy. They're eating it up.
Yeah.
What's the matter?
I was hoping I'd never hear this thing again.
What do you mean? It's your trademark. Yours and Eddie's.
I tried to persuade him not to do it. He wouldn't listen.
Why? You aren't imagining all that voodoo stuff.
I don't know. It was all in his mind, and it nearly killed him. I don't think you can put it out of your mind and forget so easy. When Eddie plays it again...
nonsense.
Hey, wait a minute.
What?
Look at Eddie. There's something wrong.
What? Well, he's staggering.
Eddie! Eddie! Eddie!
Judy, wait. Now, let me pick him up. He's probably just fainted from the...
No! No, leave him alone. He's dead. I guess Papa Benjamin won after all.
Escape. Produced by William N. Robeson and directed by Norman MacDonald. Today brought you Papa Benjamin by William Irish. Adapted for radio by John Dunkel with Frank Lovejoy as Eddie Block, Louis Van Ruten as Papa Benjamin, Harry Bartell as the police commissioner, and Joan Banks as Judy. Music was conducted by Eddie Dunstetter. Next week...
You are speeding through the night on the Istanbul Express. You are alone and unarmed. And suddenly you realize that your life is in danger. That somewhere on the train are deadly killers from whom you must escape.
Next week, we escape with Harold Lamb's exciting adventure story, Three Good Witnesses. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, Columbia Broadcasting System.
Speeding through the Turkish night on the Taurus Express. You are alone and unarmed, and somewhere on the train is a calm killer from whom you must escape.
Escape. Produced by William N. Robeson and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today. For a half hour of high adventure.
we escape to Turkey and the Taurus Express, which carries a shipment of death, as Harold Lamb told it in his exciting story, Three Good Witnesses.
I took the Taurus Express that night because I was going home, back to the United States, back to California, and my routine job at the oil company. 2 days before, I had given my final report to our State Department man in Istanbul, a negative report.
Then, Mr. Ward, your considered opinion is that there is no oil in this area?
Not enough to be worth drilling for. Not at this late date. The war would be over before we could get out 10,000 barrels.
Yeah, you're being optimistic, Mr. Ward. War isn't over yet. Who can say when it will be?
That's true, but...
What does Arvark say?
He agrees with me completely. So does Wyndham, the British engineer. We're all agreed.
3 good witnesses, huh? Well, then that settles it.
What do you mean, 3 good witnesses?
Oh, that's an old saying out here in the Middle East. Come from the Arabs, I think. In their old law, the testimony of 3 independent and trustworthy witnesses was enough to establish the guilt or innocence of an accused person.
But, why 3?
Well, I suppose 2 witnesses to a crime might tell the same lie. But if 3 fellas tell the same story, well, then it must be true.
Well, maybe. I suppose the odds against 3 making up the same story would be high, but I don't know whether I'd like to trust my neck with that kind of justice.
Yeah, it is a little different from justice back home in Chattahoochee County. I imagine you want to be getting back to the States as soon as possible.
Indeed I do.
Well, I can put you on the Taurus Express Wednesday. You'll be in Cairo by Saturday, get an ATC plane, and have you in Washington just 3 days later.
Istanbul to Washington in less than a week. It's a small world, isn't it? So I was booked on the Taurus Express leaving Istanbul on Wednesday night. Got to the station late, and as I walked down the long platform toward the first-class carriages, I sensed a tenseness in the crowd. First, I couldn't explain it. Then I noticed that the platform was alive with police. They stood at the door of every car, motionless, solemn-faced, carefully scrutinizing everyone who got aboard. And it seemed that everyone on that bustling platform was aware of them. Well, I found my car near the front of the train. A policeman stood at the open door. I paused to verify the car number, and suddenly I heard a voice at my elbow.
I thought I had missed you.
A pair of arms twined around my neck. A pair of lips were kissing me. I pushed her away to try to see her face, but she clung to me. I tried to say something, but she kept talking so fast I couldn't get a word in.
How could you do this to me? To run off without even saying goodbye? I must be with you right up to the last minute. My darling.
At last I could see her, and she was beautiful. Very young and very beautiful. Turkish or Greek, I couldn't tell which, but lovely.
Reach me. You must let me get on the train with you. See you safely to your compartment. I cannot bear to...
Madame, I'm afraid you're making a mistake.
Please, you must help me. I will explain.
But I...
Come, you will miss the train. I will see you safely on board. Come, hurry, so we may say our last goodbye in privacy.
This last was thrown over her shoulder to the policeman standing there as she pulled me up the steps into the car. He stared at us, but he said nothing. And in a moment we were standing in the deserted corridor.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, look here, young lady. What is all this?
It is the fault of those police standing out there. I could not get into the car alone.
But why not?
This is a first-class car. Only rich foreigners ride in first-class compartment. I could see by your clothes you were American. I knew you would help me.
But why did you want to get into this car especially?
Because I...
Suddenly she stopped, and her eyes were riveted on something behind my back. I turned to see a swarthy young man staring at us from the other end of the car. He was dressed in the uniform of a train conductor. He slid open a compartment door. There was an almost imperceptible jerk of his head, and then the girl slipped past me and into the open room. The conductor slid the door shut after her.
Your number, sir?
Huh? Oh, yes, 12.
Yes, the next one. Here. If there is anything I can do for you, I shall be pleased. If you care to leave your ticket and passport with me, I shall be able to attend to Syrian customs without disturbing you later.
As he talked, his eyes were not on me. He was watching the slow progress of a policeman through the car. The officer was walking by, glancing into each compartment. When he came opposite us, he spoke to the conductor.
Ole, Kala? Ole, Kala.
The conductor was standing squarely in front of the door of the girl's compartment, hiding her from view. The policeman walked on. In a moment, he had disappeared.
Thank you, sir. I shall not disturb you.
I went into my compartment. My baggage was already there. The train was about to leave. Everything was in order. But I couldn't help wondering about the incident I had just witnessed, about the girl I had involuntarily helped, and the conductor. I wondered about all those police out there. Obviously, something was going on. Then I remembered. This was Istanbul, the gateway to the Middle East. It was supposed to be alive with Axis spies. Could that girl be... Then I laughed. Just my overage, stay-at-home mind imagining things. Then suddenly I heard a voice in the corridor outside.
What's the big idea?
The voice was unmistakably American and music to my ears. I jumped to my feet and stepped into the corridor. There, outside the next compartment, was a young man in civilian clothes, carrying a small bag and a briefcase. The swarthy conductor was approaching him with a worried look.
How about this, huh? There's a dame in my compartment.
Beg pardon, sir. There must be a mistake. This compartment number 10.
Naturally, you think I can't read? Number 10, that's mine.
But number 10 is not sold. It is not marked on my list.
The heck it isn't. I've got my ticket right here. What's with the dame?
Please, not so loud.
I don't get this.
I beg your pardon. Can I be of any help?
Huh? Oh, you're an American, too.
Yes, Humphrey Ward, Los Angeles.
Tom Hatfield.
Glad to know you.
And what's with the dame? Do you know?
No, I'm
Please,
afraid...
gentlemen, step into the compartment, please.
But the girl...
Please, in. Yes?
Okay.
Well,
Please, sir.
Oh, well, all right.
Ti epidas. Ti ina.
Fasaria. Officer Manatu Kamo.
Hey, talk English, huh? What's all this about, anyway?
It is... I am embarrassed, sir.
Oh, you're embarrassed. I buy a ticket and find a dame in my compartment. Of course, on closer inspection, maybe I'm not so mad after all. She looks like a good deal.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you do speak English.
Sir, the policeman will come by. Maybe look in. I must ask of you a favor.
Yeah?
If she could stay here, just until the train started, she will not bother you after that.
Well, why can't she stay in her own compartment?
Please, sir, I have no place else to put her. All the other places are taken.
Oh. She's a deadhead, huh?
Deadhead?
No ticket. Stowaway.
It is something like that.
Well, what's the setup? She your girlfriend?
No, it is not like that. It is... You see, we're both Macedonian. She is escaping from the Nazis. She wants to go to Cairo and join the Nurse Corps.
Uh-huh.
She has been for 2 years in Greece under the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
She's a real patriot, if you will help her.
Well, maybe if you introduced us and let her speak for herself.
She's called Maradalas.
Well, let's make it Mary for short. Mary the Deadhead. Hi, Mary.
Hi. You're okay.
Get her. She talks American.
I spent 2 years at American school at Thessalonica. I worked with Red Cross in Greece during the fighting.
That's so?
I like Americans. I want to go to United States.
Who doesn't?
I want to learn to be a real Norse. You will help me. Americans are always kind.
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman here helped me get on the train.
Naturally.
Now, you will help me. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Now, I must go before the policemen get more suspicious.
Okay, this may turn out to be a pleasure.
Looks like you don't need me. I'm in the next compartment. Maybe we'll get together later.
Sure. I'd offer you a seat, but we're sort of crowded already. Mary and me.
I went back to my seat laughing. Laughing mostly at the silly idea I'd had that maybe Mary the Deadhead and her conductor friend were spies of some sort. Obviously, they were harmless. As harmless as I was. And that was completely harmless, confound it. I looked out of the window as the train slid out of the station, leaving Turkey, leaving the war, going home, back to complacent safety. Men were out here fighting and dying, and they'd get no help from me. Me, overage and useless. I felt pretty sorry for myself. It wasn't until the next day that I began to get acquainted with my fellow passengers. Mary the Deadhead was riding on the conductor's jump seat at the end of the car. The Aruvians, an Armenian couple, were in 14, the compartment next to mine. Young Tom Hatfield was on the other side of me, and two Greek refugees, a Mr. Chiniara and Mr. Drika, were next to him in 8. Hatfield kept pretty much out of sight all day, and it was Mr. Chiniara who shared a table with me at dinner that night. I didn't much care for him, but he was somebody to talk to.
You Americans, you do not realize how lucky you are.
No, I suppose not.
You do not know what it is to be safe. Just look around you. Almost all the passengers on this express are refugees. All of them would pay much to be going to the United States as you are.
I suppose so.
But yes, where else is there any security for us? But you, sir, and your young friend are always secure. Wherever you go, you are always safe. But it is not so for us.
Well, I suppose we do take a lot for granted, and oh, here's Hatfield now. Hatfield, won't you join us?
Thanks, no, I'll just sit over
no,
here.
no, I insist. I was just leaving. You must join your friend.
Oh, really? There's no need,
I insist, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chiniara. It's been a pleasure.
And for me, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Take it easy.
Well, I haven't seen much of you today. Been resting, eh?
Something like that. You ordered?
Yes, I'll call the waiter.
Never mind, he'll be back. Who's your slick-haired friend?
Oh, Mr. Chiniara? He's a Greek refugee, just escaped from the Nazis.
Everybody out here just escaped from the Nazis.
He was saying how lucky we are to be Americans. I guess they don't see many of us in Turkey these days.
I guess not.
I haven't seen many of us myself. Funny, I didn't run into you in Istanbul.
I wasn't there, just passing through.
Oh. I thought I'd have met you at the American Mission or somewhere.
No.
I'm out here for the State Department. Oil. But I haven't had much luck. Now I'm going home.
Too bad.
Yeah. Plenty of things for us Americans to do out here, though. Like, oil and other things. Of course, they give the unimportant stuff to has-beens like me. Leave the good stuff for young fellas like you.
Okay, Mr. Ward.
What?
Okay. I'm Tom Hatfield, Frankfort, Kentucky. White, Protestant, 26, unmarried. No, I'm not a draft dodger, and no, I'm not AWOL. And yes, I'm here on business, which is none of yours.
Well,
I'm a Captain Air Force, 2 years overseas. You might say officially I'm on a holiday. The fact is, I'm taking this train to Adana, where I get off at 5 tomorrow morning, cross the border, and catch a plane that's waiting to take me to Cairo. Anything else you want to know?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't...
No. Sit down. I'm sorry. I guess I'm getting on my own nerves. Forget it, will you?
Oh, it's nothing. You needn't think that...
Riding on trains is kind of bad for a flyer. It makes me jumpy.
I understand. And you must have already been through a lot. Yes, I do understand. I was in France in 1918. I know what it's like.
Maybe you know better than I do.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. But I envy you. I'd give anything to be in it.
You're lucky you're not.
Oh, I know. But it's no fun being old and useless like me either. I envy you. I can tell you're doing something important.
You can? How?
By the way, you're so careful with that briefcase. Carry it around with you all the time. You got it on your lap right now. Probably got something important in it. Dispatches or something.
So you noticed that, did you? I hope nobody else on this train is so observant, Mr. Ward.
Oh, you're pulling my leg. What difference would it make anyway?
You never can tell. On a train like this, out here, you never know.
Oh, you mean spies?
Well, I wouldn't...
Well, but why? I haven't seen anyone who looks suspicious.
Spies are never suspicious looking, Mr. Ward. They're anybody. Anybody who wants to make a quick buck and doesn't care how he does it. This train is alive with people like that.
But who?
Well, just take, for instance, Mary the Deadhead. She's young and pretty, yes, but she's broke. And her shifty-eyed boyfriend, the conductor.
Oh, but they're Greeks. She's a refugee.
So she says. But didn't it seem strange to you that he put her in my compartment by mistake? My name wasn't on the list, so he said. Were you satisfied with her story?
Well, for a moment, I was suspicious, but
You can't take too much for granted. Well, for instance, the story I just told you. I might be a spy, mightn't I? That whole thing might be hogwash.
Well, no. You're American, I know that. Who else would say hogwash?
No matter. I could be an American traitor. There are such things.
Oh, but
Or you might be the spy. Yes, they even look like you. Meek and mild, Casper Milquetoast. Their cover stories are pips. Like telling you they're out here looking for oil. They strike up a conversation, ask questions, and notice briefcases.
Oh, but look here. Now, surely you don't think...
No, I don't think anything. I only say, you never can tell, Mr. Ward.
He was kidding me, of course, pulling my leg. But I didn't really mind. I liked him. And he had a right to be cocky and flip. He was doing something for the war effort. Even though I knew he was kidding me, I went to bed thinking about spies and I fell asleep dreaming of them. Then very suddenly, I awoke with a terrible sense of urgency. There was something that I must do. I looked at my watch. It was 10 minutes to 5. The train was dark. Everything was quiet. Yet I felt I had to get up. I started to put on my clothes. It didn't make sense. But then I remembered. It was Tom Hatfield, not me, who had to get up at 5, leave the train at Adana to cross the border into Syria and take his plane. Those dispatches must be important if he had to change to a fast plane as soon as he got out of neutral Turkey. When I stepped into the dimly lit corridor, it was deserted. I knocked on Hatfield's door. No answer. I tried the handle. The door slid open into darkness. Something was wrong. I switched on the light and went in. Tom Hatfield lay there on the bunk asleep. Hey, Hatfield, rise and shine. We're coming into Adana. You've got to get off. I shook him, but he didn't move. Then I saw blood on his pillow, on his head. I looked around quickly. The briefcase was gone. Kevorkian! Kevorkian!
Is something wrong, sir?
Did you see anybody go into number 10?
No, nobody. Who should be going...
Look. Do you have keys to the doors?
But no, there are no keys. They lock from the inside. A sliding bolt and chain. Nobody can get in once they're locked.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew Tom Hatfield would have locked that door. Somebody must have gotten in some other way and left the corridor door open as a false clue. But how? Then I noticed the door which connected with number 8. I tried it. It was locked. This didn't make sense. But through my mind was racing one thought. American dispatches have been stolen. Tom Hatfield is out, and it's up to me. I searched the room. I found an automatic under the mattress, but no briefcase. I heard the train start up again. We were leaving Adana. I looked again at the connecting door. Then I got it. The bolt was fastened on the other side of that door. But on this side, it was not. That meant that someone could have come in through number 8. I knocked on the connecting door. I heard a movement, and the bolt slid back and the door opened. I was face to face with Mr. Chiniara.
Yes?
And he was staring at the gun in my hand.
What is it? What is that for?
The briefcase. The bag of my friend. Is it here?
Briefcase? Bag? Oh, we have here only our valises.
This door has been opened. Something is missing.
Oh, if you have lost something, I pray you to look. I know nothing of it. Come in, please, and look.
All right, I will. I'm not accusing anyone, but I just want to be sure that... The next thing I felt was a stinging coldness on my face, a rushing of wind. I realized that I was hanging half out of the window of the car. They were shoving me out of the train. Savagely, I kicked. Felt something give. Then I pushed myself back in, slid down on the floor. Felt something hard under me. The gun. In the dim compartment, I saw them coming at me. Chiniara and Rika. I raised the gun.
What is it? What has happened?
Oh, look! On the floor!
Shut the door, quickly!
Are they...
Wait. Let me look. Yes. Both of them. Finish.
They took the briefcase. I'm sure they did.
Hey, who's shooting up the place?
Hatfield.
Holy cow, will you look at that? What happened?
The briefcase. It's here someplace. I'm sure it is.
Hey, wait a minute, fella. You're banged up here. Looks like we both got bumped. Here, sit down. You need a drink. Mary, you'll find a pint in my bag. Bring it in here, will you?
But they got the papers, Hatfield. We ought to look.
They did?
Yes, the briefcase isn't here. I don't see it.
Oh, there wasn't anything in that briefcase except some old Istanbul newspapers. They probably threw it out the window. Back at Hyder Pasha, a Britisher I know warned me to be careful this trip. I put my classified material someplace else.
Oh, but that means I killed 2 men without any cause, without a shred of evidence to back up my story.
How we waste time. Quick, the Syrian border police got on the train at Adana. They might be here any minute. Now, who is dead here?
Mary, the deadhead, took me into Hatfield's room and carefully administered first aid to my cuts and bruises. But Kevorkian and Hatfield were busy in number 8. What are they doing?
Never mind. Pay no attention.
Oh, but they're throwing the bodies out of the window.
Think not of it, please. Hai Kevorkian is a Macedonian. When he fought the Germans at Thessalonica, he threw bodies over the cliffs. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, but
But you are a brave man, too. Even if you are not Macedonian, you would be judgment tried for 2-3 years, in spite of your age and your innocence. It is better to have no bodies.
What's that?
Be quiet now. The border police.
Well, we got the room cleaned up just in time.
Number 8, Senior Enrica.
He has their passport. I forgot.
Signora Enrica, they are not here.
I can tell you about Signora Enrica. This man here, Mr. Ward, he is American general in disguise. Secret Service. He put Signora Enrica off at Adana with a pistol. They were spies.
Good heavens, he'll never believe that.
Never mind. This man is a Syrian. He does not care what happens in Turkey. But do you have any Syrian money?
Oh, yes. Here in my wallet.
Good. Give it to me. Thank you. Now, come with me, Sergeant.
Do not worry now, Mr. Ward. In a moment, Haiki Vorkian will have those passports. We will throw them out the window and there will be no trace.
And to think, Mary, I thought you might be drawing down an Axis paycheck.
It is no matter. Now we are out of Turkey. Before long, I can go to United States.
Baby, that might not be so easy. You got no money, no passport, no transportation through the combat zones.
Never mind. I shall do it. I walked to here from Macedonia. I can walk all the way. Like St. Paul in the Bible walked to Rome.
Well, I wish you luck, but you'll have a time getting by British control at Aleppo. We can't smuggle a pack of cigarettes past them.
Oh, but then what about me? What about a murderer?
I don't know. We'll see.
It was morning when the train pulled into Aleppo, the station where British control came on. The trip had been pretty awful, with Tom trying to act as if nothing had happened, and with me staring into that empty room, imagining Chiniara and Rika sitting there staring back at me. Maybe they had been spies, maybe not. No, they were dead, and I was in trouble. We knew that the minute the train stopped. A soldier stood outside our window and said,
"All right now. Everyone remains in his place in his car."
We waited silently for many minutes. And then a British major in khaki shorts stepped in. Behind him, I saw Kevorkian and Mary the Deadhead standing in the doorway.
Good morning. I'm Radcliffe. I'm looking for 2 missing passengers identified as Greeks, Chiniara and Rika by name. Come now, they seem to have been in the next compartment. Listen here. What became of them?
Were there 2?
Young lady.
Yes, sir?
You weren't at number 8, were you? You don't seem to have any other place, nor a Syrian entrance visor.
Please, I sat down in the corridor.
Oh, yes, quite. Conductor, don't you remember 2 passengers booked through to Aleppo? One was quite stout, book dealer who escaped from Greece 10 days ago. The other...
Those. They descended from the car at Adana. One was fat with slick hair, and the other... Yes.
Really? I say, isn't that a bullet hole in the wall up there? And you, sir, Mr. Ward, isn't it? How did you hurt your forehead?
An accident, sir. I bumped into
Oh, yes, quite. I should tell you that the Armenian couple in number 14 heard shots just after passing Adana. They were so frightened they locked themselves in until now.
It's no use. I shot them. Both of them. They hit me first.
Please realize that I'm not joking. My orders are to find those 2 pseudo-Greeks wherever they may be.
Wait a minute. You said pseudo-Greeks?
You mean, Major, you want to find them?
And how, as you Americans say.
But why?
Because we're advised by Istanbul that certain Axis agents have been working out of the Balkans with identifications as refugees. These 2, Chiniara and Rika, were on this train. Our man on the train saw them throw something out at Adana. They hardly threw themselves out.
No, we did that. Your man at Haida Pasha tipped me off to expect trouble.
Oh, really?
So they were agents.
Certainly they were spies. I knew that. No Greek would be fat like Chiniara after only 1 week escape from the Germans.
And no Greek would have hair oil from Paris.
Well, that being the case, will somebody start telling the truth?
I will. This mild little gentleman, knowing nothing of the war and fighting, he kills you 2 men in a gunfight. Like, how do you say, nobody business. And now, please, he's still suffering from shock. So will you please give him a plane direct to Cairo where he can rest? And this American courier, he is late with dispatches. He must have a place in the plane, too. And since I cannot enter Syria without the passport, will you please put me also on the plane? Because in Cairo, I can get a job as nurse with the Ella Greeks from Macedonia who are there. And maybe God will then give me a way to go to America like he passed St. Paul through the Taurus gates. Is it a deal, Major? 3 places on the first plane, and you have your men like the Royal Canadian Hussies, only dead.
The plane could be arranged, of course, if...
All right, Mr. Ward. Tell him. Tell him.
With the eyes of that amazing girl on me, my courage came back. I told him my story. Completely. Every detail. He listened carefully, took it all down on his pad. And afterwards he said...
That story, Mr. Ward, is not one bit of evidence to support it. By your own statements, the evidence is buried in the snow on the slopes of the Taurus Mountains.
Nuts. I tell you, I helped chuck it out.
And I examined the 2 men. I am a trained nurse, and I said they were dead.
And for identification, I, a soldier of Macedonia, can swear that their passports were the men you say.
Very well. I'll ring the addrum. The evidence of 3 good witnesses is sufficient.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson and directed by Norman MacDonald, today brought you 3 Good Witnesses by Harold Lamb, adapted for radio by John Dunkel, with Morgan Farley as Humphrey Ward, Jack Webb as Tom Hatfield, Janet Nolan as Mary the Deadhead, Harry Bartell as Kevorkian, with Barton Yarborough and Jack Crucian. Music was conceived by Cy Feuer with Eddie Dunstetter at the console. Next week...
You are alone in Paris, unable to speak the language, unable to cope with a gigantic conspiracy which seeks to convince you that you are mad. And you know you are the victim of a plot from which there is no escape.
Next week, we escape with Alexander Woollcott's version of a modern folk tale, The Vanishing Lady. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.